Well, hello, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome back to Grizzly Bear Sims YouTube channel, and welcome back to Thornton Farm. This is episode number 19, and I can officially say Happy New Year. Happy New Year to everyone. Today is the 1st of January, 2018, and well, I will admit that I did not see the new year come into Colorado. I was fast asleep before the clock struck midnight. But I did manage to stay awake and watch the ball drop in Times Square, and I said, well, at least my home country is celebrating New Year's officially, and so yeah, I just called it at that and went to bed. Was probably fast asleep by 10:30 or so, and that's kind of how New Year's Eve and the early stages of New Year's Day took place here in my house. It's just after 8 o'clock in the morning, and the wife is still asleep, and we are just here on Thornton Farm playing a little bit of Farm Sim 17 and enjoying ourselves this morning, and of course making hopefully what will be a good, an excellent video for you guys to watch. Now, let's see, when we left off in episode number 18, I mentioned that we would be most likely starting the, let's see, we want to go ahead and park this right here. That we would most likely be starting our harvest of soybeans, and that is still very much the case. That is still going to happen. That is still going to take place, I should say. We need to, though, first thing is we need to back up to this little, I don't know how you pronounce this, go wild, go will, little hay spreader. Here it'll spread hay, it'll spread straw, it'll spread just about everything. We keep hay in it, and we use it basically to give hay to our sheep, because it's a little easier to transport this up there. So we're going to go and we're going to do this first. We have got a little bit of a late start this morning, simply because we had your stereotypical rain shower come through late last night, and so we've been under a wet crop wet crop scenario for quite a while. I do want to point your attention, though, the folks that put up the billboard a few weeks ago came along and basically changed the billboard out. So our new logo for the Three Dudes Gaming Network. Let's see if I can get here where I can see it a little bit better. A friendly place to talk about everything gaming. Three Dudes Gaming Network, 3dudesgn.com. So thanks to Eustace Farmer for creating our new logo for us to use, and thanks to Farmer Klein for taking that logo and placing that logo on the billboard there. And it actually even looks like, I don't know who put the texture in there, but it looks like it's been it sort of looks like a billboard, the way that the creases there and everything are not 100% perfect. Perhaps it's our moisture and everything here in the Cotswolds and the rain and everything. They just changed it out just a day ago, so it's possible that the rain caught them by surprise, perhaps. So we're gonna try to head down here to our sheep farm again, just taking a few minutes and doing something that we need to do to keep our animals and everything healthy and keep them productive. Of course, right now our sheep are certainly not productive in the sense of producing wool. The weather and everything does get kind of cool here, so basically we let them keep their winter coats, their wool coats, until spring, about mid-spring or so, and then we'll start shearing them to get them ready for the summer. So let's go ahead and just top them up here. I don't think they'll take all of this. Nope, they never do. They're quite picky, and they'll eat what they eat. That's kind of reminds me of a little bit of a funny story. That if you've watched my channel for any length of time, that my wife and I had cats, and our two boys passed away within a week of each other a couple of years ago, and it's really it hit both my wife and I quite hard. Um, One of them was named Mickey. He was kind of my cat. He hung around with me and tagged along with me everywhere I went. That little boy followed me around, and so he was almost ever present in the basement where I hang out, where I have my home office and my gaming machine and everything. And of course, they had passed away before I started producing content for YouTube. But anyway, funny story is, and maybe maybe your cats, if you have cats, maybe they're the same way. We had my wife, when she moved here to the U.S., she brought with her two cats, and these two cats had lived in Belgium, and they had lived in the UK, I think, yeah, and then they obviously moved to Denver. And so one of them, a little girl cat, we called her Minnie as a nickname, but only because it described her size. It certainly did not describe her personality. She had a rather large personality for a small cat, and she was often a battle axe. I mean, she could hold her own, even though she was the smallest of any of the cats that we had. She could still hold her own. Well, the funny story about the food thing is that, make sure we have plenty of fuel, and we do, is that if she could see the bottom of her bowl, so let's say that her bowl had, some kibbles in it, some little dry food, and if she could see the bottom of it, um, that was, she considered her bowl to be empty. And it could be, 2 o'clock in the afternoon, or it could be 2 o'clock in the morning. And if she noticed that her bowl, if she could see the bottom of her bowl, there could still be several dozen kibbles in there, enough for her to eat on the rest of the day. But if she could see the bottom of the bowl, it was panic time, and she would often come up. And of course, we slept with our bedroom door open, so the cats would come and go, and oftentimes they would, maybe they wouldn't start out sleeping in the bed with us, but we'd wake up in the morning, and both of them would be there. Um, and so if she could see the bottom of her bowl, even if it was 2 o'clock in the morning and the wife and I were sound asleep, she would come in and she would sit on your chest or on your stomach. And she was a small cat. She weighed not very much at all, just a few pounds, I think. And but you'd wake up in the middle of the night, and especially if she was sat on your stomach, or maybe on your bladder, after a few minutes, you may not detect when she initially climbs on top of you, but after a couple of minutes of her sitting on your bladder, you'd certainly wake up and go, "What in the world is going on?" And then realize that there's a little cat sitting on top of you, and she would not go away, and she would not be content until you got up, went down, and put some kibbles in her bowl. And you could only, you could put a tablespoon in there if you wanted to, as long as she could not see the bottom of the bowl. She was fine. All right, so here is our soybean field, our first soybean field. We've got two soybean fields. We have Oh, let me shut the engine off. We have two soybean fields. We have two, there goes the RAF this morning. They're out nice and early. So we've got two soybean fields, and we have two sunflower fields, and then we have a cornfield. So our goal is we're going to get, we've got basically 2 days left to get this done based on the weather forecast, because the weather forecast for the last 4 days of fall is just absolutely terrible. I couldn't say it any nicer than that. We've got today, which we've got a little rain icon, cloud icon. Hopefully that is indicating what has already come through the area. But it could be, maybe we've got a little late afternoon storm that's going to come through. Hopefully it's not going to bring about a whole lot of moisture. But we basically have 2 days to harvest 5 fields, and so these are all relatively small fields. And of course, like I said, 2 fields of soybean, 2 fields of sunflower, and a field of corn. And so our goal is we're going to do the 2 soybean fields first, and then we're going to do the 2 sunflower fields, and then we're going to do the corn field last. So that way, if in the event one might think, well, we might want to do the cornfield, and that way we've got corn if we need it. But our high demand stuff, what Mr. Thornton has sold, and what we need to make sure that we get into our silo for safe storage and everything before Wednesday, is soybeans and sunflower. And even if for whatever reason, even if we lose the cornfield, which I don't think we will, I'm going to be very positive about this. I think we'll be okay. So I hope everyone is having a wonderful, wonderful day. I've kind of, well, I don't really know when you're going to watch this video, because over the winter break, when I was off from work, and I basically worked on the Friday before Christmas Eve. I think Christmas Eve was on Sunday. I will admit that I'm just feeling almost like a fish out of water, because I barely know what day of the week it is, and it's been this way for the better part of 9 days or so since I punched out of work on Friday before Christmas Eve. It's just been kind of like vacation holiday mode, and not really knowing what day of the week, or really caring what day of the week it was, as far as that goes. And so anyway, I'm not sure when you're going to see this video, because in the course of this winter break that I have been on, we've been doing a lot of things around the house, as I sort of have indicated that I would be doing. Some home improvement stuff, and I've been tinkering around out in my wood shop in the garage, and made a new a coaster set that's going to go on my Etsy shop this week. And so anyway, the other thing that I have done is I've done a little bit of research into cattle and crops. And by the time you watch this video, you will have already seen a couple, at least 2 or maybe 3 cattle and crop videos that I'm going to be putting out on my channel. And what I'm going to be doing is I'm going to basically be going through the missions that are available as part of the new update that they released on the 22nd of December. Now, this really caught me by surprise, because as I have said, and it's quite possible that you're going to watch videos that I recorded over this winter break period when I was off from essentially between Christmas and New Year's, where I may talk about my disappointment in cattle and crops. Just remember that I've recorded episodes and everything in advance, but that I might express my disappointment in cattle and crops. I was not expecting, nor was I aware, that they were going to release an update on the 22nd of December, which they did, and it includes a new map and a fairly significant list of fixes and all this kind of stuff. So as I have said before on my channel, my first experience was actually my last experience with cattle and crops when it first came out in the summer, when the early access crowdfunding version of cattle and crops came out in early summer. I loaded it, installed it with great anticipation. I went to try to configure my controls, my Logitech G27, my pedals. Couldn't manage to get it to save anything. If it did save it, as soon as I restarted the game, I would have to go back in and reconfigure everything. And at that particular point in time, I was not interested, absolutely was not interested in playing a simulation-based game, such as, agricultural based type game with keyboard and mouse. I just wasn't interested in it. It wasn't, I just did not feel like I even wanted to experience the tech demo and it was buggy as all get out as well, in addition to the lack of controller support and stuff like that. So anyway, very long story short, um, this update came out. This update came out on the 22nd of December. I found out about it on the probably maybe like Christmas Eve, but because of Christmas Eve and Christmas Day and everything, I didn't really do much with it. Spending time with the wife, we were watching movies and cooking and things like that. And so anyway, I got around to finally, well, a couple of things happened. One, someone had left a comment on a video, an older video that I had recorded, where I talked about cattle and crops and everything, and was pointing me to the fact. No, it wasn't a video. It was my blog post that I wrote on just before Christmas. I wrote a blog post just before Christmas on the Grizzly Bear Sims blog site. You can go to grizzlybearsims.com. And read that. And I was basically talking about the fact that 2017 was supposed to be the year of farming, or at least I had predicted that it would be the year of farming, because we had all these different farm agricultural based simulation games that were essentially coming out for us to have access to. And so Pure Farming 17 and Cattle and Crops and you name it. And so I had sort of predicted that 2017 would go down as the year of the agricultural based simulation game. Well, anyway, they had left a comment and said that by the way, an update has been made available for Cattle and Crops, and in their opinion, it was quite a nice update. Still, they pointed out that there was some bugs, there was some issues and difficulties and stuff like that, but essentially asking me or suggesting that I take a closer look at it. Let me grab my screenshot here right quick. So anyway, around that same time frame, Wonko over at PCSG, the owner of PCSG, had posted about the update, and he said that he had spent several hours playing Cattle and Crops and was quite impressed with what they had accomplished with this update, the new map, and but they still acknowledged the fact that it's got a long ways to go. It's still very much in early access. It's still very much just kind of in that setup, in that way. And so I decided, okay, well, I had been playing Farmer's Dynasty with my Logitech G2, or with my Xbox controller, and I had been doing that for a couple of days, and I'm still playing Farmer's Dynasty. I'm doing that off camera. It's just kind of my own personal enjoyment. And so I thought, okay, well, here's the deal. I'm playing Farmer's Dynasty, and I've been talking about Farmer's Dynasty a little bit on the channel, and so I will at least install the new update from Cattle and Crops, and I will see what my experience is, and see if it changes my my view of this whole thing. And so let's jump out and go grab our tipper and bring it around. And so I did it. I installed it. It installed just fine. I had a problem. The installer, the older version of the installer, would crash, but then a little bit of research, I realized that, well, there was a new version of the installer released, and so I downloaded that, and everything went off like clockwork, and went in, and I noticed, wow, I noticed some big changes with the way that the controllers got set up and everything, and I still had some challenges and stuff like that. Well, anyway, again, kind of to make a long story short, and not really to sort of spend this entire episode talking about Cattle and Crops, get across this without banging my knees there on the hitch, I decided to basically record an introduction episode, which I have labeled as Cattle and Crops episode 0, and then I am going to record episodes, an individual episode for each of the missions. I believe there are 12 missions. And I'm going to discuss my feelings about the game, any problems, anything that I sort of see that um, is an issue. Talk about these, and basically, for things that I don't know the answer to, ask the community. And maybe this will also get me a little bit more engaged with the community, the cattle and crops community. I'll do a little research and try to, basically see if I am just hitting the wrong buttons this morning. You can tell that um, that's what I'm wanting right there. Anyway, put some videos out there. Let you guys, see the early stages of the missions and everything. Maybe you guys have toughed it out longer than I did as far as the tech demo goes, and you guys know more than I do, and we can sort of just help each other out to see if we can get the most out of cattle and crops as it exists today. Still, it's not ready for prime time in any shape, form, or fashion. There's still a lot of stuff that I think that they need to do. It's still rather limiting in what we can actually do as far as what the game will allow us to do, the types of crops that we can plant, and all those kind of things. But I think, at the end of the day, it's showing good progress. I had all but pretty much written off my investment in cattle and crops, and I have changed my tune on that. I think that, even though everything has been delayed significantly from the original thoughts and ideas as far as what we thought was going to happen, at the end of the day, it is a good show of progress that they've made. And other than a couple of little quirks, and I've been playing it for a couple of days now, so I've actually, with the help of a few other people like Reefy 1952, Wonko, the Icelandic farmer, we've been kind of bouncing, things off of each other over on PCSG, because all of us have the G27, and so that has been a little bit of a bear to get set up and configured. But anyway, watch the videos if you're interested in it. They will come out, not sure what sort of schedule, but I'll fit them in to the days that I'm not normally producing content. So this might mean that you might be seeing 5 or 6 videos a week from me, and that's only because I've got a good backlog going. And so, but I will eventually calm back down to probably a lesser schedule of 4 to 5 videos per week. But I want to play and enjoy it, and so that is sort of that. So we're coming up on about probably about 24 minutes or so with this episode here. So I think what we're going to do is I'm going to grab this last little bit of soybean here, and then we will empty the combine into the tipper, and then we will probably take a few minutes and disconnect the header and get the header moved over to the adjacent field, because we can't get there from here with the header attached to the combine. It's just not, the roads are not going to allow it. It is actually quite an operation to get our combine over on this side of the farm, because the roads are quite narrow, and we basically have to come around on the north side, the way that we sort of brought the tipper and everything in, because if we try to come around the southern way, the roads just aren't wide enough, and it causes some problems. And so yeah, it's a little bit of an ordeal to essentially get our combine and everything over here, but we do it, and it works out as best as possible. So we'll park it and leave it here running, and we'll back up and get away from the header there, and we'll run over here and get in our case, which we parked under the tree to keep it away from out of the way. Love the fall colors. Really appreciative to OxygenDavid for putting at least the fall colors and everything into the map for seasons. I don't think the snow mask is enabled on this map. As a matter of fact, I'm pretty sure it's not. I've heard from several people who basically have been playing Thornton Farm with seasons, and they have all pretty much indicated that the snow mask was not available or was not placed on this map. That's not going to be a problem for us, because essentially only thing that that means is that because the snow mask is not set up, it just essentially means that we won't have to run the risk of losing any hay or straw due to rain or snow or anything like that into getting into the fields. So let's just go ahead and pull this guy up right over here. We're going to leave him here and turn him off, and then we're going to move the header over to the other field. And then most likely what I will do is I will probably do the second soybean field off camera, and then we will come back together for episode number 20, which will most likely be us harvesting sunflowers. Okay, we'll harvest the sunflowers, and then probably just do one field of sunflower, and then basically do the cornfield pending that we get there, and I'm sure we will. And then we'll make a decision as to what we're going to do through those rainy days. I'm not real sure if we're going to, obviously some of it will be done on camera, some of it will be done off camera. Pretty much the only thing that we will have to do during that time frame is just basically tend to the animals and get these fields ready to go, get them cultivated, and get oilseed radish put down on them, and that's really all that we will need to do through the course of the next couple of days once we get the harvest done. So basically the attention that we're placing on our priorities and everything is basically to make sure that we get these fields harvested, because we can still work and we can still put oilseed radish down and everything on Wednesday, Thursday, or Friday, or maybe even Saturday, push come to shove, if we can beat the freeze and everything. But we'll just see how it goes. So anyway, I will just take the opportunity to say thank you all so much for watching. I appreciate you guys tuning into my channel to watch my Farm Sim 17 videos, and now to watch sort of the introduction stuff that I'm doing, the missions and everything for cattle and crops, if that's something that interests you. And so I'm just going to get myself set up here to go ahead and do the other soybean crop off camera and continue to enjoy Farm Sim 17 for a little bit longer here on New Year's Day 2018, the first day of the new year. I'm hopeful that this basically will set the stage for lots of fun content on Farm Sim 17, cattle and crops, Farm Sim. Obviously this year we will see Farm Sim 19 if history repeats itself. Giants should be releasing Farm Sim 19 late this fall. Or very early winter time frame. Usually it hits in the late October, early November time frame, so fall. Hopefully we'll see some good news from cattle and crops, and hopefully we'll continue to see good news from Farmer's Dynasty, and of course Pure Farming 18 is coming out, I think, in March. You might want to check Steam for that. And so we'll see how it all goes and how it all pans out and what we're essentially going to do here on the channel. So again, thank you all so much for watching, and I will be right back here with you for episode number 20 not too long from now, and we'll harvest those sunflowers. Take good care of yourselves and each other. God bless you all. Happy New Year. Bye-bye.